The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk, and today is September 16th, 2020, episode 243, and today, Propapanda. Man, what a great title, Guns. Good job. And you know me, I'm not down with the sickness, but I am your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gons coming at you live on multiple outlets, including the highly suppressed Facelikethesun YouTube channel, demonetized and not liked by Susan.
Shadow banned. Also the Canary Cry Radio YouTube channel, dlive.tv/Canary Cry Radio, twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio, and of course Periscope and Facebook. Welcome everybody. Yes. Propapanda watch.
Propapanda. Which, by the way, before we go into anything, before nothing, everything.
What?
I don't know. I just want to mention that today is a special day. Bristol Zoo celebrates Red Panda Day with a new arrival. Shifumi is a 1-year-old female red panda.
Cute.
And yeah, they look like raccoons. They still look like raccoons to me.
Red panda sounds like a mid-century derogatory term for Chinese communists.
Yeah, it does. But
they're so dang cute, Gonzo.
I know. But
Propapanda watch.
Yeah, so just to set up the Propapanda, there is actual Chinese communist news today, but just thought I'd set it up since it's Red Panda Day. Well, actually, Red Panda Day, I guess, is September 19th, but close enough.
Okay. Good enough for me, Gonzo. Well, any exciting news? We're a little short on time today, so we kind of got to zoom through some things, but we got to catch up.
Yeah, just a real quick mention of Hear the Watchman presents Igniting the Fire, the Ultimate Solution. It's a virtual conference, September 25th through 27th. And I was just informed also that the Hear the Watchman Orange County in November 5th through 8th at the Hilton Irvine Orange County Airport. That's actually happening too. So
for real, in person.
In person, yeah. So
wow.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to really hang out at this thing because I'm probably going to have little baby Keizo. He'll probably be born by then.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It'll be right around
so
that time.
Cute.
So I know.
You have your own little Propapanda.
My own little. I'm not Chinese, dude. You're so racist.
Oh, dang it.
So racist.
Sorry.
Yeah, you better watch that privilege.
Pandas in Japan? There's got to be at least one little panda running around up there.
I'm sure there are.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, nothing to report over on my side. Nothing exciting.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Awesome. Fun.
Yep, awesome fun. Let's jump into the show here, Gons, with a Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, folks, quick Flippy update here. For those who don't know, Flippy is the colloquial name we have for the disembodied arm robot, originally flipping burgers, making our lives better. But since then, we use conversations about Flippy as a proxy conversation for how robotics and AI are moving into our lives, whether we like it or not, like a California tenant. They'll move in and they'll never move out. But today, Gons, a little update. Again, Flippy adjacent. We're going to be talking about spot rip-offs, I guess. This is coming from CNN.com, so we're just prime mainstream media here. Robot dogs join U.S. Air Force exercise, giving glimpse at a potential battlefield of the future. Okay. It reads, it looked like a scene from science fiction. Emerging from United States Air Force planes, 4-legged robot dogs scampered onto an airfield in the Mojave Desert, offering a possible preview into the future of warfare. But the exercise conducted last week, one of the U.S. military's largest ever high-tech experiments, wasn't a movie set. flying into a possibly hostile airstrip aboard an Air Force C-130. Ooh, those are cool planes. The robot dogs are sent outside the aircraft to scout for threats before the humans inside would be exposed to them, according to an Air Force news release dated September 3rd. The electronic canines are just one link in what the U.S. military calls the Advanced Battle Management Systems. It uses artificial intelligence and rapid data analytics to detect and counter threats to the U.S. military assets in space and possible attacks on the U.S. homeland with missiles or other means. In space, do you think they're talking about outer space or just the existential space of existence?
CNN, so probably both.
Yes, they'll just double speak us into the grave here.
Yeah.
Will Roper, Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Acquisition, Technology, and Logistics, said on a future battlefield, soldiers will face, quote, a dizzying array of information to assess and will need to rely on data synthesis done in nanoseconds to fight effectively. Quote, valuing data as an essential warfighting resource, one no less vital than jet fuel or satellites, is the key to next-gen warfare, Roper said in an Air Force news release on ABMS exercise. Real quick, let me highlight something. Boop. Okay. The latest ABMS exercise from August 31st to September 3rd involved every branch of the U.S. military, including the Coast Guard. Ooh, they really did bring in every branch. I like how they had to specifically say, including the Coast Guard. Sorry, Coast Guard. Plus dozens of the teams from industry and used 30 locations around the country. Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada was one of those, and that's where the robot dogs came into the mix. Quote, the dogs give us visuals of the area, all while keeping our defenders closer to the aircraft, said Master Sergeant Lee Boston, a member of the Devil Raiders, the nickname for the Air Force's 621st Contingency Response Group, said in the Air Force release. U.S. Air Force Tech Sergeant John Rodriguez, I don't know if that's a typo, but it says Rodriguez, provides security with Ghost Robotics Vision 60 prototype during an exercise on Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. The dogs are called Vision 60 UGVs, or Autonomous Unmanned Ground Vehicles, by their manufacturer, Ghost Robotics of Philadelphia. Watch out, Boston Dynamics. Ghost Robotics from Philadelphia. We've got a robot... I don't know. What is the word I'm looking for?
Competition?
Competition, yeah. Rivalry is what I'm looking for. Philadelphia and Boston battling it out for robo supremacy. It touts their ability to operate in any terrain or environment while being adaptable to carrying an array of sensors and radios on, for a dog robot, a fairly simple platform. Quote, a core design principle for our four-legged robots is reduced mechanical complexity when compared to any other legged robots, and even traditional wheeled-tracked UGVs. The company's website says, by reducing complexity, we inherently increase durability, agility, and endurance. It says our Q UGVs are unstoppable. And in the U.S. military of the future, they may be a vital component to what an Air Force release calls the kill chain. Ooh, dogs in the kill chain, Gons. Quote, we are exploring how to use ABMS to link sensors to shooters across all battle spaces at speed and under threat. Maturing these concepts and capabilities is necessary to fight and win in the information age. General John Raymond, Chief of Space Operations, said in an Air Force release. Quote, our war fighters and combatant commands must fight at internet speeds to win, said Air Force Chief of Staff General Charles Brown Jr.
Charlie Brown.
Internet speeds, Gons.
Charlie Brown says internet speeds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, his name is Charlie Brown. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what internet speeds doesn't mean anything to me. It's, as we've known, trying to stream this show.
Yeah, slow
internet
and clunky.
Speeds, yes,
throttling constantly.
Be incredibly impotent in their attempt to connect us with the world. There's a bunch of interesting stuff in this. First of all, I like the visual, to imagine the visuals of a C-130 landing on an airstrip, and then just like a dozen robo dogs pouring out of the back cargo bay to secure the area. Very interesting there. One thing that really aligns with the trends that we're seeing in the future is the paragraph that said Will Roper, Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Acquisition, Technology, and Logistics, said on future battlefields, soldiers will face a dizzying array of information to assess and will need to rely on data synthesis done in nanoseconds to fight effectively. This aligns with the general trend that we see of data being weaponized, data being the most important factor in a lot of things. Now, in this whole TikTok situation we're dealing with, I've broken it down many times of how data is the new oil. It's been said before. It's the new commodity. It's a priceless commodity, data is. And this not only applies to geopolitical economics, but also to warfare. It's whoever has the most data is the one, who has the advantage. And the military is all the sectors of our military, including Coast Guard. Come on, Coast Guard, you're included. Are going to be relying on data more than anything, more than bullets, more than, manpower, more than anything. It's going to be these data collection little doggies running around that are really going to give the U.S. the boost when it comes to war fighting.
I was thinking of
next gen warfare.
Yeah, I was imagining these dogs on the coast, like going into the ocean, and I'm like, they can't live in the ocean, but they're probably fairly waterproof, and then they'll just keep walking, on the bottom of the sea, and they just
I know.
keep moving.
And can you imagine an amphibious assault where just suddenly hundreds of these things start galloping out of the sea on a beachfront?
That's like, Pacific Rim, except more crittery.
And I find it... there's a lot of talk about the drones. We talk about drones a lot and how drones are going to be patrolling the streets. We saw that with some COVID stuff, flying around, buzzing around. I think it's even more terrifying to imagine that these little reconnaissance little dogs just marching down the streets. I mean, it's going to be this is a called shot, but it's going to be normal just to see these little security dog robots walking around the sidewalks of your town, just keeping an eye on things. It's going to be more valuable. Compare it to what we were talking about with the police in San Diego, just begging to have access to all of the stoplight cameras, the red light cameras.
Surveillance cameras, yeah.
Yeah, because...
smart cameras, I think they were called.
Right. And it gives them, pretty much 100% surveillance of the whole city, more or less. If they don't have access to that, all they got to do is get a battalion of these dogs to just wander around, and they're fairly harmless looking, and they're cool. They're less scary sounding than a drone. You don't have this crazy flying through the town. You just have a nice little dog.
Sure. Yeah. I guess.
There you go. There's some updates on our good buddy Spot, man's best friend. Robots are a man's best friend, as we learned in the Elon Musk Neuralink live stream.
I'm for the robots.
Yep. And I when you kept reading about how they called them dogs, I kept just thinking hot dogs, and yeah, I don't know.
Huh.
Maybe I'm just hungry.
Are you hungry?
Yeah,
You didn't eat before the show?
No, but I was thinking how terrifying it would be when hot dogs have robot legs and they're surveilling our homes.
They're little mini spots.
Yeah.
That would be a good. That's some good PR. For the dogs patrolling our streets. Just put a little bun around them.
Little hot dogs.
They'll just be so cute running around.
Yeah, and then somebody.
Plus, you can sell more ad space on the surface area of the bun.
Somebody will try to bite into it, and then property damage.
Well, then that's a felony, Gons.
That's what I'm saying.
That's assault.
I know.
That's assault of a police officer.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's all changing. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Anything more on the robot
Nope,
dog
that's
front
it.
there?
That's all I got. Keeping you updated.
All right, we got a bunch of
Glizzy. Somebody mentioned it in the chat. I was trying to get away. Yeah,
okay.
apparently the kids nowadays call hot dogs glizzies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And if you're a glizzy gladiator, it means you eat a lot of hot dogs. I thought it was,
I have never
and I
heard
may
that.
be mistaken. I might be saying something very vulgar, but I believe it's not a vulgar term. It's just simply referring to hot dogs.
Okay. All right. Cool. Something
See,
I learned.
I
I'm
keep up
gonna
with the kids, man. I
I'm
know
gonna-
what's going on.
I'm gonna try that with the wife. Hey, what do you think about glizzies for dinner?
Glizzies for dinner. You're
She'll-
gonna get hurt doing that. Be
She'll
careful.
kick me out. Yeah. All right. A few brief updates here.
We interrupt this broadcast to give you a brief update. By the end of this timely interruption, you will be thoroughly updated.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
Okay, we got a couple 33 updates. Obviously, 33, if you are familiar with the show, is a number that the elite seem to use all the time to signal to each other or to other elite or Freemasons or whatever's going on, but the number seems to pop up quite a bit. And this is HollywoodReporter.com. Reframe stamp awarded to 33 TV shows, including Killing Eve, Unbelievable, and Watchmen. I know they all seem to have a biblical undertone to it. Killing Eve,
Sure.
Unbelievable, like, you're not a believer. And then
Sure.
Watchmen, like a watchman.
Yeah.
So, just thought
like
that
a
was
watchman.
like an interesting headline with the 33 in there. Also, another 33 update, which this one I couldn't actually get into the article because it's I think it's New York Times or no, it was Business Insider. But they published an article. Here's the complete accounting of all 33 credible sexual misconduct allegations against Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
Whoa.
Yes.
Interesting.
And they say they found 33 instances where people accuse Donald Trump and Joe Biden of sexual misconduct. I don't know if that's like them together, like at the same time, or.
Right.
And I'm curious. I wish I could get into the article because I'd want to know the ratio. Like
I mean, we can get into the article.
You can try. I'll try. I mean,
I don't know. Scan, see if there. I don't know how long it is.
Well, I can try to get. Well, let's see.
I think that's combined. Here's a complete accounting of all 33 credible. Paywall.
That's what I'm saying.
Stuck. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to get.
I see. You
16.
can't read it.
Yeah, I can't read it. That was the thing I was trying to get to.
Got it.
Yeah, they want me to pay like $50 or $120. Ooh, $1 monthly trial, and then you forget about it, and then they take all your money.
We
No,
should just
thanks.
do a podcast where we just wander the internet signing up for free trials. Good content.
Okay, and obviously the West Coast has been burning. There's been a lot of interesting satellite footage of laser beams hitting fire spots and stuff like that. We'll get to that in a moment. But in the meantime,
Burn it all.
it was reported by OregonLive.com. Man arrested twice in 12-hour span for starting fires near I-205. Not once, but twice. Man was arrested on Sunday for intentionally setting a brush fire near Interstate 205 in Portland. Then, just hours after he was released, I don't know why they're releasing him, he was taken into custody again for lighting 6 more fires, according to Portland police. So there you go. He was booked into the Multnomah County Detention Center on charges of reckless burning and disorderly conduct, but was released. I just don't get why they're released. Why would you release him?
Well, because that's just, I don't know, bail. He probably got bail. There's all these bail bonds, these bail funds coming out for Black Lives Matter people. I don't know. Maybe he was part of that. Who knows? And yeah, this goes into, there's a worrying situation with the fires, obviously, but all these arsonists are getting arrested. This guy twice. And when he got arrested the first time, gets out and lights 6 more fires. And it's really worrying, Guns, because I'm talking to some normie people in my life. And I'm just mentioning like, oh my gosh, did you hear about all the arsonists they arrested in Oregon? And nobody believes me. It's like this. It's crazy. There's mainstream. They're mainstream. I'm not even saying I care because it's mainstream. For them, it's mainstream, and they should be believing it. But it's kind of all wrapped up in this sort of weird mind control that Antifa is a what did they call? Not a rumor, it's a myth.
Oh, they repeat what's his name from Washington saying the whole thing is a myth.
Yeah, I want to say it was Nader or something.
Nader, yeah.
But yeah, a lot of them don't believe Antifa is real, and they don't believe these arsonists are real. And here's the thing. I personally, I mean, the sheriff's office in Oregon, a lot of the law enforcement who are doing the arresting of these arsonists are making statements saying we don't think these are Antifa related. You know, they're coming out very strongly saying like, hey, we are not reporting that these are Antifa people. So, maybe they are, maybe they're not, but it's already wrapped up in the mind control of, oh, no. There's no arsonists. This is climate change. It's all climate change. It's not arson. It's climate change.
Yeah, we didn't show the footage, but Gavin Newsom was standing in front of this like charred forest, and he was like smiling and laughing. He's like, "It's climate change."
He said, ridiculous. "Come to California." As he's standing in the hazy, apocalyptic hellhole of California, he's saying. He's got this huge smile on his face saying, come to California. We'll tell you about climate change. Come on back. Because people are leaving. Exodus. It's a mass exodus of California. He's trying to lure people back to his apocalyptic state by standing in a hellish battlefield.
I know.
And smiling his big, weird Newsom smile, being like, come on down. Yeah. Come on down to California, the land of opportunity. Yeah, we'll show you climate change.
We call him gruesome over here. But
that's good.
Yeah. It says this
re-education he wants to put on everybody.
This arsonist was taken to a local hospital for a mental health evaluation and charged with 6 more counts of reckless burning. And then here's a sentence that's really interesting. Again, this is OregonLive.com. Despite at least 3 other arrests for arson around the state in recent weeks, local police departments and the FBI have roundly rejected and debunked rumors of widespread arson in relation to the massive wildfires that have burned in Oregon over the last week. So the local police and the FBI are like, nope.
So wild, man.
Nope.
What? There's been like a dozen arsonists arrested?
Something like that. Yeah, it says here 3 others. So, I mean, still.
I think over the weeks, I saw one article that accounted for 8 of them, and then I've seen a few more come out after that. But who knows? Whatever.
Either way,
it's all a myth.
Yeah, either way, I mean, they're out there, but FBI and the local police are like, oh, nope. All right, yep. So stay not on fire, West Coast.
You don't know what you're looking at.
What's driving that thing? It's not a space alien.
Aliens. It's unidentified.
UFO seen over New Jersey was really a Goodyear blimp. And I actually saw the footage at first, and it was kind of, I didn't know it was a Goodyear blimp. It was kind of compelling because you see like this guy, you see it in the background there. There's a bunch of people on the street getting out of their cars to film it. So I was like, wow, maybe it is something.
That's exactly what got me too. Because usually with these things, it's one guy out in the wilderness. And it's like, obviously, he just went out, took some footage to edit a UFO in. But yeah, this had the whole highway blocked up.
Yeah. It's
people
as if
getting out of their cars. And
yeah, it's as if they've never seen a blimp. But apparently, and the one thing that was fair, weird.
There's not that many blimps flying around.
Well, true and not true. It was because of the what was it? The football game, I think. Let's see. It says here, blah blah blah. It was a Goodyear blimp over MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, where the New York Giants lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers Monday night. So it was a football game, and they have football blimps, Goodyear blimps.
Goodyear blimp,
yeah, so that's not like an uncommon thing. But I just thought it was weird that all these people, I don't know, did they forget what blimps look like? Or, because I mean, you would think that at a certain point, somebody would be like, oh, it's a blimp. And then everyone would go, oh, yeah, you're right, it's a blimp.
It even had the blinking lights and the, the aircraft signals and everything.
So yes, the blinking lights on top was what made me question, like, okay, what is that? But the big blue light underneath was the first thing that I was kind of like, okay, maybe it's something else. But I found this footage here, which I will show, and if you're just listening, I'll describe it the best I can. It's just a 1-minute clip from somebody on YouTube, Jules by the Pool on YouTube, from back in February 8th, 2018. We saw a Goodyear blimp again last night, and it's got a similar shape to it, and it's got that big, it's like a big...
it's a screen. It's
screen.
a scrolling
Yeah, it's a scrolling screen, and yeah, from far away, it does kind of look like a, like a blinking or a, some kind of...
Like a beam.
Yeah, beam.
Looks like
or
a tractor beam, maybe.
Yeah, or like the bottom of a spaceship type of thing you would see on TV shows.
Yeah.
But that's what really convinced me. Like, oh yeah, you're right. It's a blimp. It's not a UFO. Unfortunate, but or fortunate. I don't know. But yeah,
I've been fooled the same way though. When I did live down in Southern California, there, there's blimps floating around LA all the time.
Yeah.
And so many times I was spooked by these things. They're just kind of an eerie thing to see sometimes.
Yeah. Although, I mean, I guess maybe I grew up with the blimps in the air, so I kind of know when I see a blimp.
Yeah.
There is, in my kind of neck of the woods, there's a big orange balloon for like tourists to go up and check out the city or whatever. Yeah. First couple times that thing went up, I was like, what is that? What is that floaty thing up there? But yeah, there you go. I'm more disturbed about all the people that thought it was a UFO. It's like the whole Rona thing. They were inside it for so long. They were mind controlled into watching so many sci-fi shows or whatever that the first sign of something weird in the air and they're like, it's happening.
I know, it was wild. The video, the original video, the whole highway stopped and got out of their cars and are filming this thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
All right. Next up is a super duper weapon.
I call it the super duper missile. Incredible.
Well, it's not really a missile, but we've talked about DEWs, directed energy weapons.
Yes, a staple for conspiracy theories for years.
Yes, and this out of a Pentagon press briefing. I think it was either today or yesterday. Let's give it a listen.
Meanwhile, in space, Moscow and Beijing have turned a once peaceful arena into a warfighting domain. They have weaponized space through killer satellites, directed energy weapons, and more in an effort to exploit our systems and chip away at our military advantage.
There you go.
Right. Actual press release. Actual mentioned press release mentioning directed energy weapons, which of course we've known about DEWs for a long time, but they really strictly have been a conspiracy theory piece of knowledge.
Yeah.
A fringy people know about them, but everybody else, they're like, that's crazy. Go back to watching Independence Day.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there was even this is something I put in my presentation for Hear the Watchmen, but there's a CNN video from like 2017, I think, that shows like a whole interview with some sergeants and stuff. They're like, yeah, it's much more precise. It's long range. You can do it, without getting noticed, and they have little demonstrations.
Was recent?
2017, yeah. Or you mean this press conference?
This press conference.
I think this was today or yesterday. I think it's very recent.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah. So there you go. Not crazy conspiracy anymore, unless you're just going to say everything that comes out of.
I like the Pentagon. Yeah.
Pentagon is fake.
Well,
fake
it
stuff.
Was from the Pentagon, so it still might be fake. Who knows?
Sure.
What was I going to say? Oh, interesting how they talk about it in relation to Russia.
Russia and China. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, oh, no, these evil empires have the directed energy weapons, not us. We don't have weaponized satellites. We're so innocent.
We abide by the 1967 Space Treaty Act that expired in 2004 and didn't get re-upped.
That's what I love about the United States military-industrial complex. We play by the rules, We're famous for it.
But, the 1967 Act was specifically about nuclear weapons. So I'm sure that, everybody around the world was like, well, we don't have nukes up there. So, hey, what up?
Ooh, hey.
So there you go. Directed energy weapons DEWs mentioned right from a public, or at least an official, semi-official, whatever you want to call it.
Can you believe we've had nukes have existed for almost 100 years now?
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Wild.
Yep. Wild.
All right. Any more updates?
One more.
Waccine.
We reported how AstraZeneca stopped their trials because of some complications from some of their test subjects. But, one of the questions we asked when that came out last week was, what was the complication? Well,
it's serious enough to halt the entire project.
Yeah, according to Scientific American, which is part of one of our main stories coming up next here. According to scientificamerican.com, NIH very concerned about serious side effect in coronavirus vaccine trial. The test was halted when a participant suffered spinal cord damage, and U.S. scientists launched an investigation. Spinal cord damage, Basil.
That's serious. How does that? What? I mean, that's pretty crazy. That's not a trivial side effect.
We're gonna save all of you with this vaccine. Oh, sorry, spinal cord damage. I highlighted some parts of this article here. I didn't want to read through the whole thing, but it says here, AstraZeneca, which is running the global trial of the vaccine it produced with Oxford University, said the trial volunteer recovered from a severe inflammation of the spinal cord and is no longer hospitalized. And even that, I'm like, recovered and severe inflammation? Okay, all right, we'll believe you. But they're not releasing a whole lot of information. Transverse myelitis produces a set of symptoms involving inflammation along the spinal cord that can cause pain, muscle weakness, and paralysis. So, just doing the work, the being the subjects for the people. They're
Get
saving
your shots,
humanity.
folks.
The NIH has yet to get tissue or blood samples from the British patient, so he was a Brit, or she, and its investigation is, quote, in the planning stages. They're planning an investigation. Nath said U.S. scientists could look at samples from other vaccinated patients to see whether any of the antibodies they generated in response to the coronavirus attack or coronavirus also attack brain or spinal cord tissue. So
you know what's really sad, actually? I mean, this is entertaining to hear, but it's also very sad because the people signing up for these trials, I mean, they are fully bought into the vaccination thing. I mean,
I know.
These are the people who will, the vaccines are totally safe. There's no problem. You crazy anti-vaxxers. I can't believe you would be so ignorant to think that there would be a negative thing about vaccines. So this person, in full faith of, science and the mechanisms behind that, the science industry, full faith person thinking this is going to be totally safe. I'm going to save the world. I'm going to be part of, saving humanity. And it's, science would never betray me. And then to be hit with such a very specific and dramatic side effect, it has got to be pretty startling to the worldview of this person.
Well, they obviously didn't listen to this podcast because if they had,
I tried to tell you.
Trying to tell you, man. Such studies might take a month or two, he said. The FDA declined to comment on how long it would take before it decides whether to move forward. So there you go. I mean, that's, one more paragraph here. More worrisome is a phenomenon called molecular mimicry, or mimicry. I don't know, mimicry. In such cases, some small piece of the vaccine may be similar to tissue in the brain or spinal cord, resulting in an immune attack on that tissue in response to a vaccine component. Mm-hmm. Such that be the case, another occurrence of transverse myelitis would be likely if the trial resumed, said Dr. William Schaffner, an infectious disease specialist at the Vanderbilt University School of Medicine. A second case would shut down the trial, he said. So there you go. It's possible that the volunteer's health problem was a coincidence unrelated to the vaccine, said Dr. Amish Adalja, a senior scholar at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. Of course, he's going to say that because, Johns Hopkins are all in with the globalists and whatnot.
The CIA medical apparatus.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you say his name was William Schaffner?
I think it's, Schaffner.
Wow.
Let me, yeah.
There's so many jokes, I don't even know where to start.
Should I read it like William Shatner was? I mean, maybe it was him in like a white coat, just pretending.
I wonder how much grief in his life comes from people trying to make William Shatner jokes.
I'm
Probably
sure
too much. I'll spare him. I'll spare you.
Well, he's a disease specialist at Vanderbilt University School of Medicine. He's probably played into it if he's a professor or something teaching classes. I'm sure he's used it to his advantage or tried to. Anyway, totally irrelevant. Other to the point of the NIH concerned, and then the concern of the vaccine trial being spinal cord damage, which I don't know. It's
serious business.
It's serious enough to cause concern without, people of conspiracy theories having to warn everybody.
Got to break a few eggs, Gons.
Apparently, or a few spines.
Yeah.
All right.
Ready to keep moving?
Yes. Let's get into. And this is another story from Scientific American, but this one is a little more troubling, I'd say.
Science is truth.
Science is truth. You heard it here first. ScientificAmerican.com. Scientific American endorses Joe Biden. We've never backed a presidential candidate in our 175-year history until now. Uh-oh. Scientific American's getting political. Scientific American has never endorsed a presidential candidate in its 175-year history. This year, we are compelled to do so. We do not do this lightly. All right, buckle in, Gons, because it's going to be a bumpy ride here.
I know.
The evidence and the science show that Donald Trump has badly damaged the U.S. and its people. Science shows it, Gons. Science shows that Donald Trump has badly damaged the U.S. and its people because he.
Go ahead. Go finish the sentence.
Because he rejects evidence and science.
Okay, so what scientific study? What hypothesis was brought into the picture to test Donald Trump?
Peer-reviewed document.
Yes, shows Donald Trump rejecting evidence and science.
I know.
As evidence and science. There's some circular logic happening here, I feel like.
Gonzo, we are on the first sentence. We have so much more to go.
No, I'm sorry.
The most devastating example is his dishonest and inept response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which cost more than 190,000 Americans their lives by the middle of September. Okay, already a disputation in that sentence, but okay, let's keep moving. He has also attacked environmental protections, medical care, and the researchers and public science agencies that help this country prepare for its greatest challenges. That is why we urge you to vote for Joe Biden, who is offering fact-based plans to protect our health, our economy, and our environment. Ooh, I hope we actually hear about these plans, because so far, I haven't heard a single plan. I've heard him say he has plans.
I think he's doing the presser right now, actually. I mean, we don't have to go to it, but yeah, I think there was.
It might be interesting to tune in, see if we can catch a. Why don't you line it up, and once it's ready to go, we'll see if it's something we want to switch over to.
Yeah.
Continuing though, these and other proposals he has put forth. What proposals? There are no proposals. Okay, that is why we urge you to vote for Joe Biden, who is offering fact-based plans to protect our health, our economy, and our environment. These and other proposals, of which there are none, he has put forth can set the country back on course for a safer, more prosperous, and more equitable future.
New World Order.
The pandemic would strain any nation and system. Oh, fair. But Trump's rejection of evidence and public health measures have been catastrophic in the U.S. He was warned many times in January and February about the onrushing disease, yet he did not develop a national strategy to provide protective equipment. Well, okay.
Sorry.
I mean, he did, but also, we don't need to talk about how Obama depleted the N95 supply that was specifically being stockpiled for this reason. But no worries. Okay, what do you got? You got some?
Yeah, I'm just I pulled it up on The Hill is doing watch live Joe Biden special on developing equitably distributing coronavirus vaccine. So I click play. I try to make sure the sound is off, and it's literally a shaky video camera on an empty podium. Somebody needs to get with the program over there on the production team. I don't know, but there's nobody there. It's just Is there sound? Hold on, let me see if there's sound. Yeah, there's some background noise.
It's just a live stream.
It's just a live shot of an empty podium.
Wow.
All right,
there
keep
you go,
going,
folks.
We'll tune into Hairy Legs Joe there if he shows up.
I gotta be honest, Gons. That is the most compelling thing I could have possibly imagined for that live stream.
He's busy. Yeah. Anyway, I was gonna make a bad.
He forgot. He forgot. Keep an eye on it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'll just have it on the screen.
If he walks on, just interrupt me wherever I am because I want to hear his explanation.
Okay.
All right. Let's continue with this. The pandemic would strain any nation, any system, but Trump's rejection of evidence and public health measures have been catastrophic in the U.S. He was warned many times in January and February about the onrushing disease, yet did not develop a national strategy to provide protective equipment, coronavirus testing, or clear health guidelines. Testing people for the virus and tracing those they may have infected is how countries in Europe and Asia have gained control over their outbreaks, saved lives, and successfully reopened businesses and schools. But in the U.S., Trump claimed falsely that anybody that wants a test can get a test. That was untrue in March and remained untrue through the summer. Trump opposed $25 billion for... Yeah?
Sorry, I realize that this video isn't live, but the first hour and a half of this video that they posted on here is literally an empty podium. Hour and a half of empty podium. But I guess Joe shows up around 1:30 to 1:33. Let's. Do you want to hear in, or do you want to finish the article first?
Let's see what he says. We can always get back to the article.
Okay, hold on one moment here. Sorry.
I mean, I don't know if we want to do the whole thing, but
hour and a half long briefing with seven of our nation's top public health experts on the state of the pandemic, the steps we need to curb the spread of the virus, and the challenges of distributing a safe and effective vaccine once one is identified. Before I turn to those issues, let me say a few words about the President's comments last night. Even before acknowledging to Bob Woodward on tape that he was fully informed on the gravity of the danger related to COVID-19.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Refused to warn the American people. Again, last night.
Just keep reading the article. I will
2020 hindsight, man. That's what all this criticism about, him not doing enough in January. Yeah. Even when he was, Democrats were in the midst of trying to impeach him. He, was on top of banning travel from China, et cetera, et cetera. It's all 2020 hindsight situation. Yeah. And it's nothing. It's nothingness. Anyways, moving on. Trump opposed $25 billion for increased testing and tracing. That was in the pandemic relief bill as late as July. Okay. Again, some misrepresentation there. He opposed a $25 billion relief bill because like 75% of it was pork not to be used directly for coronavirus purposes. But okay. These lapses accelerated the spread of the disease through the country, particularly in highly vulnerable communities that include people of color. Of course, we got to make this a racial thing, where deaths climbed disproportionately to those in the rest of the population. It wasn't just a testing problem. If almost everyone in the U.S. wore masks in public, oh my gosh, it could save about 66,000 lives by the beginning of December, according to projections from the University of Washington School of Medicine.
Projections.
Okay. Yes, projections. Now, keep in mind, we've had 190, allegedly. Of course, everybody on here knows the problems with these numbers, so we don't need to repeat them. But we're at 190,000 lives in let's just call it 9 months. And now they're saying we're going to lose 66,000, which would be, I don't know, 40%, 40% more deaths in a month, 2 months. Okay, whatever you say. Such a strategy would hurt no one. It would close no business. It would cost next to nothing. But Trump and his vice president flouted local mask rules, making it a point not to wear masks themselves in public appearances. So all the Democrats, Biden, Pelosi, what's her face? Trump has openly supported people who ignored governors in Michigan and California and elsewhere as they tried to impose social distancing and restrict public activities to control the virus. So Trump doesn't believe in disobeying the Constitution in order to control the public. So he's evil. He encouraged governors in Florida, Arizona, and Texas who resisted these public health measures, saying in April, again, falsely, that the worst days of the pandemic are behind us, and ignoring infectious disease experts who warned at the time of a dangerous rebound if safety measures were loosened. And of course, the rebound came with cases across the nation rising by 46% and deaths increasing by 21% in June. Some obviously disputed numbers. Poor coronavirus motorcycle crash guy. The states that followed Trump's misguidance posted new daily highs and higher percentages of positive tests than those that did not. Only if you don't count New York and California are those numbers true. By early July, several hospitals in Texas were full of COVID-19 patients. Again, calling them full is incorrect. The way that they run these stats is a hospital will make a certain amount of beds available, specifically coronavirus. Usually, it's about a dozen beds for a big hospital. Not counting, the other couple hundred beds that they have. But if those 12 beds fill up, then they call it a full, hospital full of coronavirus patients. So there's some statistical lying there as well. States had to close up again at tremendous economic cost, but about 31% of workers were laid off a second time. Following the giant wave of unemployment, more than 30 million people and countless shuttered businesses that had already decimated the country. Again, the unemployment and the shuttered businesses are because of shutdowns, not in spite of shutdowns. So kind of flipping some double speak there, flipping the tables on the cause of closed businesses. At every stage, Trump has rejected the unmistakable lesson that controlling the disease, not downplaying it, is the path to economic reopening and recovery. Trump repeatedly lied to the public about the deadly threat of the disease, saying it was not a serious concern. This is like a flu. Okay, again, go back to January, February, March, where all mainstream media, especially places like CNN, MSNBC, NBC, places like that, all of those liberal outlets were downplaying, telling you not to wear masks and, schluffing off the whole thing. So everybody was in lockstep, whether they like it or not. I think it hurts them to know that they were agreeing with Trump back then. And so they got to, flip it on its head again. When he knew it was more lethal and highly transmissible, according to his taped statements to journalist Bob Woodward. His lies encouraged people to engage in risky behavior, spreading the virus further. And his lies encouraged people to engage in risky behavior, like rioting and protesting and gathering in hundreds of thousands out in the open and shouting at each other. And have driven wedges between Americans who take the threat seriously and those who believe Trump's falsehoods. The White House even produced a memo attacking the expertise of the nation's leading infectious disease physician, Anthony Fauci, Daddy Fauci, in a despicable attempt to sow further distrust.
There's so much science in this article. I can't handle it. It's just so much science.
Yeah. It's what drives me nuts about this article is every single not every single. I won't even exaggerate. The majority of the claims that they've made thus far are easily debunked by an individual who actually looks at those facts and claims individually without having the manipulation of statistics, by a media outlet. How's Biden doing over there? Anything interesting?
No, I'm not. I'm not even watching it anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to get the captions on there, but it's not. There's no captions,
working.
so yeah, I don't know what he's saying.
So here's the thing. This article goes on for about 10 more paragraphs, and it's going to take us the entire show to go through it and respond to everything.
Yeah.
Did you have anything specifically highlighted or anything that you wanted to hit directly? Because I'm telling you, I mean, the whole article is exactly we won't be able to make it through in the show.
Yeah, I know. I didn't have anything specific, but what I did want to point out is that this is a very prime example of the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2013, where legalized domestic propaganda is in full view, and I was reading up on not just the bill, but some articles about the bill and a political science essay on the bill, which was taking up a majority of my morning. But it talks about the history of the Smith-Mundt modernization, or just the Smith-Mundt Act from 1948, and how they were trying to make sure that the propaganda that they used in foreign countries would not be used in against the U.S. citizens, and how information technology completely changed all that, and a lot of it became obsolete. So they had to try to create different parameters. There was a bill in 2005, Truth of the Report, or Truth of Media. I can't remember the exact name.
Truth in Media.
Truth in Media. It was something along those lines, and they were trying to create laws that would hold, outlets, not just the government, but a lot of the news outlets accountable for, a type of propaganda. And it didn't pass. They actually changed the language, and it got much less specific on things. And and the fact that so much of this, I mean, somebody paid for this. Somebody paid some people at Scientific American to endorse a candidate. And, some of it might be public if you dig hard enough. I'm sure you can find it. But this type of thing, and especially because, and this is really the proof here, the evidence, a lot of the things that are mentioned here in this article are hyperlinked. And most of it, there was a couple to the CDC or whatever, but most of it is to other news agencies, New York Times, their own articles from Scientific American.
Which in their mind is giving them credibility.
Right. But it's almost like it's a big circular argument, because they're just sort of pointing back at their own Washington Post. Let's see, what else? We have healthdata.org, New York Times. There's a bunch of New York Times, San Francisco Chronicle. So it's just all media. It's media verifying their claims with media.
No scientific studies, no links to papers, no links to the actual science. It's all links to the mainstream media.
And that type of propaganda, which is what this is, that type of propaganda is what was being used a lot of times in foreign countries. If you go back, a few decades, a lot of like foreign news about the U.S. was about like, oh, see, like this particular outlet said this and da-da-da. And if you do a study on the history of news media in the last 20 years, you see a clear difference in how the media, especially outlets like Scientific American, report their information using what they used to do with foreign propaganda, which is sort of like a circular argument type of thing, where they just sort of confirm each other.
Just to help clarify that a little bit, it's declassified. It's known. There's books. There's people talking about it, ex-CIA people, where their whole job would be to, be embedded in someplace like wherever, the Congo or something.
Right.
And they would become reporters or journalists in the Congo. And they can, where there's a lot less sort of scrutiny on the media, where they would put out an article that, helps further some sort of agenda. They would publish it in the Congo Gazette.
Right.
And then that becomes a source for American media, where they can say, it was reported in the Congo Gazette that this happened, and so we need to go to war or whatever. Where it can be completely fabricated, but because they reference an overseas news source, it's considered a source, and so it just allows them to basically lie, which is legal for the government to do now. Thank you very much. And so, yeah, there you go. That's how the system works. Worked for a long time and still works today.
Right. I saw somebody in the chat mention, why isn't anybody talking about QAnon getting busted? And I did find an article from Bloomberg. QAnon website shuts down after NJ man identified as operator, and a New Jersey man, and his name was Jason something. I think this is the guy that when we were doing our whole exposés on it earlier this year, somebody who contacted me saying that this guy, Jason, I'm trying to find his name here, was behind QAnon, and if we wanted to interview him because his whole thing was not for it to go all out of control like it did. And it was weird because I kind of said, well, I'll think about it. You know, we'll see, you know, but whatever. I wasn't like super all about that. But then
we get a lot of those types of emails.
Right. And his response was like, oh, sorry, I need to clarify with my boss or something. And I was like, your boss? Like, what are you talking? So anyway, or administration or something. It was something weird. And I was like, all right, that's bizarre in general. So I don't know. And I don't know what website went down. Like if a website, QAnon website went down, it doesn't mean the actual QAnon, which is supposed to be anonymous, is taken out. But anyway, sorry, sidetrack there.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, sidetrack. But yeah, yes, the whole you were talking about the how the propaganda machine operated overseas and how that methodology is now deployed in the U.S. in earnest. 2012, 2013. And yeah, that's really the point here. And on top of it, we've talked about this before. Daddy Fauci.
Science is truth.
Is not a scientific statement. That's a really important point to keep repeating, because I know a lot of people, for a lot of people, science is their God. Scientism, saying science can find all truth, but science requires a whole lot of presuppositions and predetermined factors to be consistent for it to work. You need logic to work. You need numbers to work. So there's a lot of things wrong with the idea of science being this sort of God.
There's one more thing I want to read in this article, but I want to be clear just so nobody gets it twisted. I mean, we're not Trump supporters. We're not Republicans. We're not, this isn't, we're simply responding to the belligerence of Scientific American here.
Right.
So there you go, just so you know. Now, there was this one section that said, while Trump threatened to withhold money from school districts that did not reopen, regardless of the danger from the virus, Biden wants to spend $34 billion to help schools conduct safe in-person instruction as well as remote learning. So let's just break this down logically. So there's talking about how Trump threatened to withhold money from school districts that did not reopen. Okay, well, if the school district is not reopening, why do they need money? Why would you just give them free money for not opening? The whole point would be to give them money so they can reopen.
Right.
And then it continues. Biden wants to spend $34 billion to help schools conduct safe in-person instruction as well as remote learning. So what they're saying is Trump didn't want to give free money. He wanted to give money to schools to reopen, but he's evil. But Biden wants to give money to schools to reopen, so he's good. It's just like the rhetoric of this. The twisty, turny, double-speak, mind control nonsense, which is easy to, it's expertly crafted. Whoever wrote this is an expert in their craft, because you can put side by side, Trump wants to give money to schools who reopen, and Biden wants to give money to schools who reopen, right next to each other. And one is evil and one is, the Messiah. It's wild.
Yeah. And it's pretty much propaganda, which is part of our new jingle here.
State-sponsored propaganda machinery.
I love that. That's my new favorite jingle, I think.
Yeah, that's the second half of that is totally blanking on the name. Churchill saying propaganda machinery.
State-sponsored propaganda machinery.
Oh, good old Churchill.
Yep.
Oh, somebody in the chat says, I want to give money to Basil and Gans. That's the best news I've heard all day.
Thank you, producer.
We'll teach you how to do that in just a moment. Okay. Well, I think we need to move on because time is a flat circle.
And also triangular with an all-seeing eye at the top.
Oh, jeez. What do you got next?
We have some Chinese news.
Welcome to Chinese News!
This is on distincttoday.net, but it was actually, I originally saw it published on New York Times, but I could not read it because of the paywall. China-backed hackers broke into 100 firms and agencies, U.S. says. Washington, the Justice Department said on Wednesday that a group of hackers associated with China's main intelligence service had infiltrated more than 100 companies and organizations around the world to steal intelligence, hijack their networks, and extort their victims.
Whoa.
I wonder if, what's his name? William Steele was working for the Chinese.
Steele.
The United States government presented the allegations in a set of 3 indictments unsealed on Wednesday that showed the scope and sophistication of China's attempts to unlawfully advance its economy and to become the dominant global superpower through cyber attacks. The indictments also said some of the hackers had worked with Malaysian nationals to steal and launder money through the video game industry, which is something to point out, by the way. Video games have been a massive platform for secret agents to use, CIA, FBI, all these guys to use to communicate. Did you know this, Basil?
You know this? You heard about this?
Did you know this?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I have.
All right, good. Quote, the Chinese government has made a deliberate choice to allow its citizens to commit computer intrusions and attacks around the world because these actors will also help the PRC Deputy Attorney General Jeffrey A. Rosen said, referring to the People's Republic of China in a news conference where he announced the charges. The acting U.S. Attorney of the District of Columbia, Michael R. Sherwin, said some of the perpetrators viewed their association with China as providing, quote, free license to hack and steal across the globe. The hackers, Zhang Haoran, Tan Dailin, Zhang Lizhi, Qian Chuan, and Fu Qiang, targeted social media and other technology companies, universities, government agencies, and nonprofits, according to the indictments. They had such reach. They had such reach partly because they used a so-called supply chain attack that enabled them to break into software companies and embed malicious code in their products. Once those products were installed in other systems, the hackers could use the code that they had planted to break in. The attack, described by Justice Department officials on Wednesday, was among the first supply chain attacks publicly revealed in the U.S. indictment of Chinese nationals. Some of the Chinese hackers also worked with 2 Malaysian businessmen to use video game platforms to steal from the companies and launder illegal proceeds. The businessmen, Wang Onghua and Ling Yang were arrested on Monday in Malaysia, officials said. The criminal computer activity in the hackers had been traced by cyber researchers under the group names Advanced Persistent Threat 41, Barium, Winty, Wicked Panda, and Panda Spider, officials said.
Panda Spider.
Panda Spider.
That's the most terrifying creature I've ever heard about.
Are you part of Wicked Panda? No, I'm Panda Spider.
Panda Spider.
They compromised video game distributors to proliferate malware, which could then be used for follow-up operations, said John Holquist, a cybersecurity expert. The group, known initially as Wicked Spider to researchers at CrowdStrike, the California cybersecurity firm, seemed to be hacking for profit, but started in late 2015. There was a notable shift. The group, which had been predominantly targeting gaming companies, shifted to a long list of companies in the United States, Germany, Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan that operated in agriculture, hospitality, chemicals, manufacturing, and technology, whose intellectual property would assist China's official 5-year plan, the nation's top-level policy blueprint. Their techniques changed as well. In the past, the group was known to use similar malware across attacks, but that year, its hackers started pursuing a more sophisticated set of supply chain attacks. By late 2016, researchers concluded that the hackers they had known as Wicked Spider were operating at the behest of the Chinese state and changed their moniker to Wicked Panda. Panda was CrowdStrike's moniker for hacking groups that acted on orders from the Chinese government. As the indictments were announced on Wednesday, researchers applauded the effort. Quote, "The United States government is starting to turn the tide on Chinese intrusion operations on Western companies and targets," said Adam Myers, CrowdStrike's head of threat intelligence. Verizon, Microsoft, Facebook, and Alphabet, the parent company of Google, helped the government in its investigation.
Yay.
Yeah, they're so good. Verizon, Microsoft, Facebook, Alphabet, they're just such good American citizens that they helped take down the Wicked Panda. Should have renamed the episode.
Can't be talking like that.
Or Panda Spider. What is it? Yeah.
Spider Panda.
Spider Panda, whatever. Either way, it's all about the panda, Basil. It's all about those pandas.
So, this is just another aspect of the narrative that we've been hearing for 4 years. Because, of course, we've known China is consistently, probing and committing hacking attacks on the U.S. all the time. It's not any sort of surprise. But, of course, in the 2016 election, of course, Russia has become this cyber superpower that just has complete control of the country through hackers, which has been debunked just an innumerable amount of times. And now we're coming in with China. China's getting in on the game, man.
Yep, China, and I'm sure Russia's involved with some stuff, but not the way the media was spinning everything. Obviously, I don't think it's.
So what's the big takeaway from this here?
The big takeaway is spider pandas and wicked pandas. You got to watch out for them wicked spider pandas or whatever. I don't know. I think it's
pay for cybersecurity, people.
Yeah, pay for cybersecurity.
If you're not paying for cybersecurity, you are not cyberly secure. I know it sucks to pay for the software that you don't even realize is working, but you need it. You need to be paying for it. And we don't do advertising here. There's a lot of good options. If we were smart, we'd have some sort of affiliate program and find the best for you, but we don't. But I use a suite of different companies and different security softwares because, it's just good to cast a wide net.
Right. And, there was a VPN company that wanted to advertise with us a while ago, but we chose not to based on our value for value model here.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of good virtual private networks that you can do to sort of obfuscate your IP address. It's not perfect, but it's a start. And, we've talked about this before, about the privacy aspect of being online.
Sure.
And it's not perfect. There are ways for people to find you either way, especially if you have a cell phone. They can track you down.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? I'll give all these crazy companies, the ones that were listed at the bottom here, I'll give him an eighth of a cookie for helping the U.S. take down the monkey spider panda.
It's spider panda guns.
I'm more curious about what, who snitched? Like, what did they figure out? How did they basically discover that these were the people behind, enough to have an indictment?
I don't know. Probably some sort of just forensics or double agent or something. But, I'm going to say we should keep moving on the show because I'm looking at the time here. And you have a very hard out today. Yeah. Do you want to take a break first and then hit some beast system news, or what do you think?
I think we can go through this beast system real quick here. It's not super long, but let me...
Hit me with those jingles.
All right, here we go.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
It's got to be biblical.
This is coming from MSN.com. The article is titled "Trump Hosts Israel, UAE, and Bahrain at White House Signing Ceremony." And ceremony is a real doozy of a word for this. Gons, are you ready? Proclaiming that, quote, "there's going to be peace in the Middle East," President Trump hosted Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel and the foreign ministers of United Arab Emirates and Bahrain at the White House on Tuesday for the formal signing of new diplomatic accords between them. The ceremony will take place on the White House's South Lawn. I like how they always got to tell us like which lawn it's going to happen on.
I wonder if anyone gets mad. What about the North Lawn? Why do you always ignore the North Lawn?
On the North Lawn. The ceremony will take place on the White House's South Lawn. Maybe it's like he's a racist. He's on the South
He's
lawn.
on the South side.
South. Yeah. Confederate lawn. More like it. Huh, Trump? The ceremony will take place, oh my gosh, on the White House's South Lawn to mark an agreement that has become a focal point of the president's foreign policy message in the closing weeks of the 2020 presidential campaign. Although the details remain unknown. Well, not really. I mean, the Abraham Accords, you can read them. The agreement will normalize diplomatic relations between Israel and UAE and Bahrain, including the establishment of the first embassies in one another's countries. Israel and the UAE recently announced the start of the first commercial flights between them. Until now, Israel had normal relations with only two other Arab states, Jordan and Egypt. The staging of the event seemed designed to invoke the scene 25 years ago in the same location when President Bill Clinton brokered an agreement and iconic handshake between Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin of Israel and Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat. Interestingly enough, Gons, I grew up in the church, especially churches that had what is it?
Eschatological view on things.
Yeah, end timesy type of thing. So I was aware of a lot of the, the signs to keep an eye out for, signs of the end times. And I remember, I must have been so dang young, but I remember when Bill Clinton brokered this agreement between Israel and Palestine. And, of course, back then I was a kid, it was all very simplified, but I knew that peace in the Middle East was like part of the steps of the end times. And so when I saw Bill Clinton, brokering this peace between Israel and Palestine, I was like, oh, that's it. The end of the world is coming.
You're six and you're all, it's over.
Yeah,
it's all
let's
going
see,
down.
I must have been around eight or 10, something around there. And I was like, oh, it's the time. It's happening. Anyways, moving on. But many analysts of the region, while affording Mr. Trump credit for helping to broker the agreement, work spearheaded by his son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner, called the talk of peace overblown. They note that Israel has long been moving into a de facto alliance with the Persian Gulf Sunni Arab states, largely in common cause against Shiite Iran. I love this. They're like, oh, peace in the Middle East. It's been a constant struggle for decades and decades, and nobody thought it was even possible. But don't give them too much credit. They were already going to do it. Sure. Okay. Quote, it's not conflict resolution and it's not peace. This is a business deal, said Jeremy Ben-Ami, the president of J Street, a liberal pro-Israel advocacy group, sharply critical of Mr. Netanyahu. Quote, it's very, very clear that there are aligned interests between Israel and these countries, military, security, diplomatic, economic, and those interests have been in there for 2 decades. What does this man think peace is, if not a business deal?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
What in the world is making peace with a country if it's not going to benefit both countries militarily, security, diplomatically, and economically? What in the world is this guy talking about? Moving on, the quote continues, this formalizes that, but it shouldn't be overplayed as resolving a core conflict for Israel with its neighbors, he added. Israel's decades-old conflict with the Palestinians, he said, quote, remains unaddressed with this agreement. Okay, baby steps, man. Give him a second. Give the man a second to work. Meeting with Mr. Netanyahu in the Oval Office, Mr. Trump presented Mr. Netanyahu with a large golden key embedded in a wooden box that he describes as a key to the White House, a key to our country. Oh, geez. The quote continues, "You have the key to the hearts of the people of Israel," Mr. Netanyahu replied. "This is peace in the Middle East without blood all over the sand," Mr. Trump added, which I'm just waiting.
Sorry, I'm trying to play this without the sound here.
Oh, okay.
This is yeah.
I'm just waiting for somebody to call that statement racist. You know, the Middle East isn't just all sand, Trump. They have dirt too. They have grass. All right. Speaking on Fox News' Fox and Friends on Tuesday morning, Mr. Trump boasted that Tuesday's event was just the beginning of grander things to come. So there you go, Gons. I'm going to pause so we can talk about this large golden key, the key to the country, because I'm sure you have opinions about this.
Well, first off, you know, I feel like Israel had already had some kind of cyber backdoor, at least assisting in the United States endeavors for a long time.
Yep.
But, you know, it's kind of weird to give the keys to the White House, the keys to the country, to a foreign leader. I mean, any leader. It could be, I mean, Israel, obviously, a lot there. But just anybody. It's a very strange thing. I mean, I was trying to look up, is there a history of this? I couldn't find any. Maybe somebody in the chat knows about the history of handing keys to the country and
well,
keys
you do it,
to the White House.
American towns and municipalities, they do this all the time. You know, if there's a local hero, he'll be given the key to the town.
Key to the town, yeah.
You know, your key to the city for, you know, firefighters or something like that. That's kind of a common thing. And I think it's funny because Trump, you know, being a real estate guy, you know, opening up new towers and stuff, you know, he'll give a key to the Trump Tower to somebody who, you know, was involved in the deal or something, sort of a ceremonial thing. I would love to do a deep dive on see what the actual ceremony where this comes from. It really feels like a pretty occulty type of thing, you know, to hand over the golden key to someone in particular during a ceremony.
Yeah, and this type of thing really plays into some of my views behind certain eschatological things, specifically pertaining to Mystery Babylon in the book of Revelation. And I know there's going to be people that disagree, and that's fine, but I tend to think that based on just strict biblical interpretation, that Mystery Babylon is the eschatological Jerusalem, not necessarily modern current Jerusalem, although, you know, some can argue that point. But an end times Jerusalem, and I feel that there is pretty strong biblical evidence that the Antichrist will present himself as sort of a Jewish Messiah type of person.
Sure.
And so you read in, you know, Revelation 17 and 18 about Mystery Babylon fornicating with the kings of the earth. And, you know, it just reminded me when I first saw this, that's what first came to my mind. It was like, wow, this is truly and, you know, the biggest world power, the United States currently, you know, handing over the keys.
Yeah, it's giving sort of unrestricted access, you know, in a ceremonial sense. And, you know, again, this Israel thing is so complicated.
Yeah.
And there's a lot there. But really, the president giving any country the key to the White House is pretty disturbing.
I know. It's just a weird thing, man. It's
oh man, we've got some naughty people in the chat today.
We do.
Yeah, about what this key might unlock.
Oh,
we won't get into it.
Okay.
But I see you, sinners.
But I wanted to mention that because it with all the stuff that is happening with peace deals and, you know, new embassy in Jerusalem and all that stuff, there is obviously anytime Israel or the land that surrounds that area is mentioned or talked about, it's going to have prophetic undertones no matter what, because that's the geographical area where a lot of the prophecies are focused on. So, you know, it's just one of those things to keep an eye on. But in terms of symbolically, again, just strange. Keep an eye on this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it would be interesting to do a deep dive into the giving of the key thing. But there you go. The article goes on, and of course, just taking every opportunity to downplay this achievement of Trump, because we can't give him he's been nominated for 2 Nobel Peace Prizes for this.
Wow.
And yeah, 2 now. And of course, we can't let him have it. We can't let him have a win. We cannot let this guy have a W, apparently.
No.
Okay. I think it's time for a quick break, Gons.
Quick break. Oh, okay, here we go.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Okay, everybody, don't go anywhere, because after the break, we got some more stories. Depending on time, we see what we'll get into, but definitely we'll keep you posted on a new beast system development about some self-powered biosensor medical tracking devices, which is especially relevant, I think. So stick around after the break. But before that, we want to thank some of our producers and new followers over on Twitch. Gons, you got your dinger ready? I'm going to zoom through here.
It's preparing. It's ready.
Prepping. There we go. Stevie. Thank you, Stevie.
Stevie.
We got Rogan95.
Joe Rogan? Finally listening to the show.
Finally, Rogan. Come on, man. Miss Etiquette Essentials.
Ooh, sounds like someone my wife would hang out with.
I'm going to tell her you said that.
You could tell her. That's fine.
Basil's
she'll embrace
Twitter
it.
friend.
Oh.
I've got a Twitter friend following on Twitch. Thank you very much. Loop Dog the Free Frog.
All right. Dog and a frog.
Yeah, Mr. Wonderful Guy.
Hey.
Yeah. Lily 700.
Lily.
Kimmy Kimco.
Kimmy.
And that is it. Thank you to our new Twitch followers. We love it when you follow us on Twitch. It is one of the most reliable ways to get your notifications for when we get live. And their technology seems to be a little bit better than YouTube as far as the streaming quality goes, as well as the dependability of the platform. And we're not shadow banned and demonetized and. So if you want to support us, following us on Twitch is a great way to do that. And it's good for you. It's good for you. It's good for us. Good for everybody around. And Twitch has the best emojis. If you watch the chat go by, the Twitch users, they got just a wealth of emoji use that YouTube viewers just don't get. Next, I want to thank some producers of the show. That's right. We got producers, folks, because this is the real world. If you help support a piece of media to be created financially, then you are a producer. This is no donation, no alms for the poor, although it definitely is. But if you help support the show, you are a producer of the show. You can put it on your resume, give them our email. We will vouch for you. You can be a podcast producer of Canary Cry Radio. And to do this, you can head over to patreon.com/CCNT. That's a great way to do it. And here's the thing, folks. Just if you haven't listened before, let me explain it to you. We have had many of an opportunity to advertise on the show, but we have a deep spiritual and philosophical problem with advertising. It is one of the reasons why the world is in such shambles, and media and news and social media and everything is just a total mess. It's looking like California apocalypse on the internet because of advertising. When you take advertisers' money, you are then held to account to be brand friendly. You can't say the things you want to say. You can't talk about the things that need to be talked about, all because of these advertisers' stranglehold on the media creators' content. And so we decided we shall not take advertising money. It was probably the worst business decision we've ever made, but instead we give people the opportunity to rebel against the mind control global theology that is advertising. It really is mind control. Those who have studied marketing, worked in marketing, you're literally just sitting in meetings trying to figure out how to mind control people into giving you their money. We're not into that. Instead, we try to create a quality show that brings value to your life. And now's an opportunity for you. Do some praying, do some soul searching. And if Canary Cry News Talk brings any value to your life at all, consider supporting the show because it's integrity. It's an integrity issue for us, and I believe for our producers as well. And you can do that by going to patreon.com/CCNT is a good way to do that. Gons, it's going to be a quick segment. I'm reloading here. Nope. As of now, 0 new producers on Patreon. That doesn't happen often, but it happens once in a while, and it makes me a little sad, but that's okay. You know, we're going to do what we're going to do. So no new producers over on patreon.com/CCNT. Shed a little tear, pour one out for the homies. I'm heading over to patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio, which is an alternate. Looking here, and nope, just deletions. Man, this is a hard month. So no producers on either Patreon account. But here's the thing, folks. If you don't like Patreon, that's okay. We've got canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right, everybody. canarycryradio.com/support. People don't like, if you don't like Patreon, that's okay. You can head over there. We've got PayPal options. You can come in for monthly support amount, or if commitment is not your thing, you can make a one-time donation in any amount. And there's some cryptocurrency and all sorts of fun ways to support the show that way as well. Gons, tell me, give me some good news.
Oh, I got some real good news for you, Basil, because
Huzzah!
We had some people coming strong, some strong producers coming into PayPal. We have Nicholas coming in real hot.
Nicholas, thank you very much, producer Nicholas.
We also had Tristan come in with the producership.
Tristan.
And we had a $33 support, which people just picked up on. We did not request it, but people have been doing it.
Organic movement.
Organic movement from Steven.
Steven, our 33 producer for today. Thank you very much, Steven.
And last but not least, a huge donation that really, I almost fell out of my chair with this one, from Jason. Thank you, producer Jason.
Thank you, producer Jason. You get the executive producership for today's show. So everybody thank all of our producers. Chat, let's go. Let's hear it for him. Thank you guys so much. We cannot do the show if it wasn't for our producers. And, was a little bit disappointed to see the Patreon numbers, but you guys made up for it on the PayPal. I'm seeing some chat, some people who are feeling convicted, and accusing us of shaming and blaming and guilt tripping. Here, you know what? That's on you, man. That's on you guys. Look, we do this show. We do it for free. We put it out. We do it a lot, and we do it. I think we do a pretty good job with it. So, we just got to do what we got to do. And if you're feeling convicted about that, just bring that to the prayer closet. Okay. Who else we got as producers, Gons?
We did not have any jingles come in, but we did have artwork come in.
One art, please.
And, of course, it's from Ali.
Ali.
Gazzle and Bonds in the chat. And her artwork today, Basil Stabman Rosewater. with the one eye. You have little dinosaur arms.
Okay. This is making sense now. I get it. Yeah, this I'm like a lizard person. Okay. All right. This is a episode specific. So if you're new to the show, let me explain this piece of art to you. Last show was a rowdy one. I did my dinosaur impressions, my T-Rex, my raptor. We talked about the London machete man getting stabbed by a narwhal horn, and one of my googly eyes fell off during the show. So Ali has successfully portrayed all of this in one piece of art. Basil Stabman Rosewater. There's me standing there. There's a cat at my feet. I've got velociraptor arms. Because of my great dinosaur impression, and me and the cat are Stabcat. We are holding narwhal horns, ready to defend London Bridge from a machete-wielding terrorist. This one's great.
It's the details that really makes Allie's artwork great. You have the SM for Stab Man on your chest, on your shirt.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, Allie, very detail-oriented. Thank you very much. Gazlin Bonds in the chat. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure seeing what gets produced by our youngest producer.
That we know of.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Allie. And that's it.
Yeah. That's all of it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much to all of our producers. And please remember us again for next show, which will be on Friday. Friday will be kind of exciting, Gons, because I will be, for the first time, setting up the mobile video podcasting rig.
Oh.
Of course, I've done many mobile podcasts. I will be out of town, but don't worry, Gonzo. I know this is the first year hearing about it.
Yeah.
I'll be out of town, but I will have the full rig with me. There should be no difference, hopefully.
You're going to have the green portal in the back and
Yep,
your
I'm bringing the green
helmet.
screen. I'm doing everything. Oh, yeah. That's a great question. I got to set up the Oculus on my laptop. But yes, hopefully you won't even notice, but I will be on the road doing mobile video podcasting. I'm a trailblazer, Gons. I always have been.
Until somebody walks by the window and looks in and sees.
Yes.
It's kind of like when you did the puppets, the sock puppets.
Yes.
And you had your existential crisis.
The famous sock puppets. Yes, very good. So there you go. Again, thank you to all our producers. We could not do the show without you. You are the best around, and ain't nobody ever going to get you down.
Sounds like
I think it's time to wake up, Gons, right?
Yes, right before we do, continuous thank you to That Night Wind. Still putting the timestamps on the Facelikethesun channel.
Yes.
So I appreciate that. Thank you, That Night Wind. And also, if you feel obliged, leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcast or any of the podcatchers that you are used to. And going out of break.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Awake.
Okay. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Let's see. Let's look at the time. Well,
we can fly through. I can go. I can do it.
Both?
We can do it. We can do it.
Okay. All right. You take the first one then.
State-sponsored propaganda machinery.
And since propaganda is the theme today, I do want to mention. I'll explain myself here. This is TheGuardian.com. Nearly 2/3 of U.S. young adults unaware 6 million Jews killed in the Holocaust. According to survey of adults 18 through 39, 23% said they believe the Holocaust was a myth, had been exaggerated, or they weren't sure. And let's see, almost 2/3 of young American adults do not know that 6 million Jews were killed during the Holocaust, and more than 1 in 10 believe Jews caused the Holocaust. A new survey has found revealing shocking levels of ignorance about the greatest crime of the 20th century. And I don't know, if we're going by the number of people killed, is that the greatest number? Anyway, according to the study of millennial and Gen Z adults, it is horrible. I'm not downplaying it, but I don't know if it was. There's other regimes that did some killing.
Yeah, Stalin. I forget the number of Stalin, but Mao killed 10 million of his people.
Yeah, a good amount. I think it was more than 10 million. But anyway, according to the study of millennial and Gen Z adults aged between 18 and 39, almost half, 48%, could not name a single concentration camp or ghetto established during the Second World War. Almost a quarter of respondents, 23%, said they believe the Holocaust was a myth or had been exaggerated, or they weren't sure. 1 in 8, 12% said they had definitely not heard or didn't think they had heard about the Holocaust. More than half, 56%, said they had seen Nazi symbols on their social media platforms and or in their communities. And almost half, 49%, had seen Holocaust denial or distortion posts on social media or elsewhere online.
I wonder what qualifies as that.
Yeah, and that's part of the issue here. Quote, the results are both shocking and saddening, and they underscore why we must act now while Holocaust survivors are still with us to voice their stories, said Gideon Taylor, president of the Conference of Jewish Material Claims Against Germany, Claims Conference, which commissioned the survey. So they commissioned the survey. Taylor added, quote, we need to understand why we aren't doing better in educating a younger generation about the Holocaust and the lessons of the past. This needs to serve as a wake-up call to us all and as a roadmap of where government officials need to act. The survey, the first to drill down to state level in the U.S., ranks states according to a score based on 3 criteria: whether young people have definitely heard about the Holocaust, whether they can name one concentration camp, death camp, or ghetto, and whether they know 6 million Jews were killed. The top scoring state was Wisconsin, where 42% of millennial and Gen Z adults met all 3 criteria, followed by Minnesota, 37%, and Massachusetts, 35%. The lowest scoring states were Florida at 20%, Mississippi at 18%, and Arkansas at 17%. Nationally, 63% of respondents did not know 6 million Jews were murdered during the Holocaust, and more than 1 in 3, 36%, thought 2 million or fewer had been killed. And it goes into some more numbers here, but for the sake of time, I'm going to skip to the last paragraph of this article, because so far it seems like, wow, we have a problem with 18 to 39-year-olds. You know, many of them haven't even heard about the whole Holocaust thing.
Millennials.
Yeah, we're just all just dumb. We're just dumb millennials and Gen Zers. Technically, I'm a millennial. I'm getting old, but I am a millennial.
You're an elder millennial.
Yeah, one of the elderest. Data, this is the last paragraph. Data was collected from 1,000 interviews nationwide and 200 interviews in each state with young adults aged 18 to 39 selected at random. Now, okay, let's do some math, because I'm Asian, but that's not the only reason why I'm doing math. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt here because the sentence here, data was collected from 1,000 interviews nationwide. Okay, that's 1,000, a survey of 1,000, and 200 interviews in each state with young adults aged 18 to 39 selected at random. I'm assuming they mean 200 interviews per state, because you can read that sentence and think 200 total interviews with a state that has 18 to 39-year-olds, which is pretty much every state, I would imagine. So I'm going to assume that it's all 50 states, 200 for each state, which gives you a total of 11,000 as a sample size being interviewed for this survey. Now,
didn't they say it was 1,000?
Well, it's 1,000 interviews nationwide.
Okay.
And then 200 interviews in each state with young adults aged 18 to 39 selected at random. What is the
difference between nationwide and then each state?
I don't know.
Aren't the states included in nationwide?
I don't know. I'm just giving them the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going with the big number, 11,000, because it could be 1,200. I mean, this survey could have been based on 1,200 people, but let's just say 11,000 people were surveyed for this thing. Considering that there's about 90 million Americans between the age of 19 and 39, this means that the conclusions of this article are based on 0.01% of Americans aged 19 to 39. So although the findings are alarming, this is the problem with surveys and statistics and conclusions, headlines and everything that come from that is you don't know for sure. And it's hard for me to believe that. What was the number? 23%?
That is so low. Yeah, it's really hard for me to believe. I don't think I've ever met somebody who had never heard that 6 million Jews
I've
were
met
in the
deniers. I've met deniers. I've talked to deniers.
Yeah. Same.
Which exist. I get it. There was a documentary out a few years ago saying that Hitler was trying to take down the New World Order and they flipped it out on him and the whole deal. So I've seen that kind of thing. So I understand that. But to say that they've never even heard of it?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and you know what occurred to me with this? I mean, I don't believe. Now, there's 3 criteria. 1, have you ever heard of the Holocaust? And that was a surprisingly low number. I can't believe that that's true. In a case that it was true, though, here's one way, and this is a way that you can lie with statistics. So they said they interviewed 200 youths per state. Now, if someone had the intention of getting these low numbers, it seems like you could specifically interview 200 young people who went to school in maybe a certain school district where they didn't teach it. Maybe they didn't. I don't really know how that works, but if there was a school district that had who didn't teach it or didn't, have a very robust educational program about the Holocaust, that would be an easy way to get some low numbers. You just contact kids that were in that school district. I'm not claiming that that's what they did do, but I'm just trying to understand how in the world you would get such a small number of people who had ever heard of the Holocaust, and maybe that would be one way to get those numbers. Yeah,
exactly. You can target the sample.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't.
Right. But that's, I wanted to bring that up because, again, with statistics, it's so easy to sort of, and you read the article and it looks like, the reader that's just reading this is going to think that these are hard numbers that are, conclusive and it's a full scale type of thing, because it makes it sound like it. Anytime you have an article and you write it, you're going to have that perception. But I'm going to go on a limb and say
this is false.
Yeah, it's all part of this, everything is anti-Semitic thing. That's been kind of popping up lately. There's been a lot of reports of anti-Semitism rising, and that might be objectively true. I don't know. That very well could be objectively true, but there is, it's this thing where everything is anti-Semitic. That is, it's just the same type of thing wing everything is racist. Trump saying the word sand is racist. Right. Yeah. Now the other thing, not to drag this on because I know we got to wrap up, okay. But the other thing was, a significantly small number of people could name a death camp or a ghetto. Right. And that didn't really surprise me as much because that's a very specific piece of information that you'd have to remember. I'm pretty bad, or I will say in the past, in school, I was pretty bad at remembering, very specific names of things. And of course, the one that sticks out, everybody would know, is Auschwitz. Been featured in plenty of films and TV and stuff like that. But but other than that, I can't really name any other thing. Now, their criteria was you just got to name one. I can name one. It's Auschwitz. Yeah. And maybe it's my own lack of knowledge or some sort of ignorance of it, or maybe I just didn't file it right in the right filing cabinet in my brain, that stuck around because there was no film about it or something. But that was a little bit less surprising just for my response to these statistics. Yeah, and the range from 18 to 39 is pretty big. That's a big age range because, that's some of these people can be parents to the kid. Yeah. And that's, I will say, I think right now, 18 to 39, I don't think 18-year-olds qualify as millennials. So, yeah, we're swooping in some Gen Z in there, I think. Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. Pretty interesting little factoid there, and certainly will be part of the conversation as whatever sort of cultural revolution in the United States comes out of all this stuff going on, that'll be part of it.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
And to finish it off here, Gons, we got medindia.net, self-powered biosensors as medical tracking devices. Wearable and implantable devices that convert biomechanical energy into electrical energy may not require batteries and charging, according to a review article.
Recharging.
The review.
But yeah,
what did I say?
You said
recharging.
Yeah.
The review article is published in the Biosensors and Bioelectronics. Okay, it doesn't say journal. I'm assuming that's a journal. The team reviewed the field from two perspectives, creating devices that have the potential to harvest energy and developing sensors that can power themselves. They said it, Gons. These little machines will be harvesting energy from our bodies. An energy harvester can create energy to power other devices, and self-powered sensors will be able to provide their own energy and serve as standalone devices. In some cases, the motion that generates the energy for the sensors may also be the data that the sensor is trying to collect. Quote, it can serve as a sensor directly because it can harvest energy, so it can provide the capability to monitor the motion, for example, the heartbeat or whatever the sensor is applied to, and then it can transmit that information from the environment or the body so that it can be analyzed. More precise healthcare and remote health opportunities could be made available through the sensors. Stretchable,
piezoelectronic.
Piezoelectric materials, solid substances that can accumulate electrical charges are found to be critical to this development. The materials need to be able to stretch and flex as human tissues flex and move. These devices could also include wearables on the skin surface. It can be used to track information from the skin surface in the form of heartbeat, blood flow, respiration rate, and other vibrating movements. The flexing motion of the moving muscles, which is generally a hindrance in wearable devices, could be used as an advantage with new materials. The flexing motion could create energy that would be used by these biosensors. These devices could one day be implanted in the body as advances in piezoelectric materials are rugged and flexible enough to withstand the body environment. Though they are rugged and flexible, so rugged, they are also sensitive and efficient to capture and convert very minute motions such as heartbeat and respiration. People generally think that these minimal motions cannot harvest energy. However, in the past decade or two, people have begun seeing the possibilities to generate large-scale signals from these movements. The team is also eyeing creating sensors that can perform double duty. They can harvest energy from the very bodily processes they have been designed to monitor. For example, a sensor could harvest energy from heartbeats and transfer the information about the heart to doctors who are monitoring a patient's cardiovascular condition. This is pretty spooky, Gons, in the context of chipping and tracking and cybernetic, cyborg, transitions. Just the philosophical and spiritual ramifications of having a device that harvests your energy in order to also track and do all the nasty things that the chips are going to do. It's just too much Matrix, man.
Well,
it's like directly from the Matrix.
A couple things. First off, the piezoelectric I'm familiar with because as a guitar player, the piezo pickups are a pretty popular thing, especially in like acoustic guitars. You can throw in the piezo pickups to get
they don't need
sound.
Batteries.
I think some of them mostly do, but the other part of it is anytime I'd mention about like, hey, they're going to try to microchip you, blah, blah, blah. The pushback I get from normie types is like, yeah, but you're not going to be able to charge it. There's no way to charge something like that.
Right.
And so this here is pretty much saying, oh, it's going to harvest your own energy. And so you have this self-perpetuating device in your body. So there you go. Wonderful.
There we go.
Lovely.
It's coming, folks. Coming for you.
You don't need to take it out. You can just charge it with your own bodily energy. And now you have a symbiotic relationship between the device and your body, just like Elon Musk wanted.
It's a literal parasite.
It is. It's creepy. We laugh, but it's creepy.
It will kill. Wow. It will kill. Well, there you go, folks. That's about it for today's show. Gons, any last words?
I just realized that during the whole Joe Biden video that we played, it was just a blank camera on the stage for an hour and a half. And then he came out and said, like, just had an hour and a half meeting.
Yeah, weird, huh?
I think that might have been, maybe not, but I don't know. Like that's a really bad
image crafting. It was very poorly done image crafting.
That's like,
Oh, sorry, I'm an hour and a half late. I was in an emergency meeting. I'm just so presidential.
They had to get him hyped up enough to get in front of a camera.
Which is funny because who are you, Joe? You don't have any authority right now. Why would you be so important to some sort of emergency meeting?
Well, because he has hairy legs.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
He had to shave. All right, this is coming off. Coming off the
there
rails.
We go. We're going off the rails. So before that happens, thank you so much for listening to this episode, folks. We really appreciate it. Remember to leave ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts and other podcatchers that you listen to the show on. And remember us potential producers. Remember us for Friday's show. That'll be Friday the 18th. Yes, the 18th. So tune in then. And we'll be back sometime around 12 to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Don't miss it. Turn on notifications. Follow us on as many platforms as you can. Otherwise, you might just miss the show. So make sure to do that. Thank you very much. Thanks to all our producers. Allie, thank you for the art. Thank you, Nicholas, Steven, Tristan, and Jason, our producers for today's show. And that'll do it. Now, remember, folks, some of the best ways to support the show is you can become a financial producer. We need that. We can't do the show without that. You can send in art. You can send in jingles. You can send in songs. We'll have the Canary Cry mixtape at the end of the show, so don't skip out on that one. And all those things can get you a producership on the show. And we can't do a show without producers. This is the real world, folks. So thank you very much. And remember, another great way to support the show is to just share it with your friends and family. Just hit that share button, whether it's on your social media or just, text it. Text it to your mom who has a flip phone. I don't know what she's going to do once she gets it, but you can send it to her and just tell her how great it is. And if you need any other instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
Canary in the coal mine.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! Don't ever silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Just ask Noah. That's right, folks. Again, thank you so much. Make sure to hit us on Friday, sometime between 12 and 3 Pacific Standard Time. That's a PM for those who are wondering. And remember us at patreon.com/CCNT or canarycryradio.com/support. Okay.
Yeah, I've got the background music going. I'm not going to play that.
I know.
It's going to clash.
I'm all mixed up for the end of this show, folks. I am so sorry. All right, but there you go. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
I think our chat froze.
Yay.
Really? Yay?
Wait, I mean, kind of.
Rattle her cage a little bit more.
Canaries in a cage.
It will kill.
Burn it all.
Stop this progress before it is too late. You can't handle the truth.
Aliens.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up. Crusader for the little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
something I ain't got all day. Get on my YouTube, debates like the sun. See what's new, demonetization. What's this? To my surprise, I spot a big pair of googly eyes. Click on the video and turn up the sound. What is this gem that I have found? Canary, cry radio, canary, cry, news talk, canary, news talk.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on. You fat and sassy in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you, yeah, you, yeah, you in my people's zoo.